What's up? Glad to be back. Good to see you guys again. I am doing a book review of Sun and Steel by Yukio Mishima. I came across this book from a YouTuber that I watch. He recommended it. And it's about the relationship between art and the body, and the importance of the physical body as it relates to human beings. With the advancements of the modern world, we have increasingly been called to use our minds much more than our physical bodies. This, I would say, has been to the detriment of overall happiness amongst people in Western society. Western society is primarily the one that has been fortunate enough, if you want to call it that, to not have to use the physical body in order to sustain a life, create wealth, and live. Yukio started out as a young man. He focused much more on the world of words. He grew up in Japan in the 30s and 40s. He was too young to serve in the military during World War II, but he was coming of age as the war was ending. So he was living in modern times. He said that words were his original world, and only as he got into his later teenage years did he discover the importance of action and using the body, the flesh, as he calls it. Some key things that I really thought were intriguing about this book is how he treats words. He treats them in a very he says they're corrosive. He says that words, when you're relating them to the body, are abstractions. Words are extremely limited. If you think about it, words are sterile, cold, finite, and they lack tangibility in reality. Think about it. When let's go with the emotions of love. When you love somebody, that is a feeling inside of yourself. The feeling of positivity, the yearning to do better for that person, to do good by them, will the good of the other. That, all of the feelings that you have inside of you, the things that you feel when you think about someone you love or you hate, or you're disgusted by, that is all happening in an instant. All of those things that you are feeling inside of you, and they're tangible, they're real, and words are just an abstract way of trying to describe the things that you are feeling, but they can never really do that because they aren't real. They're not in the body. They aren't inside of you, inside your soul, your spirit. Since words are not real, they can never come close to describing what is inside the spirit, the feelings that you have. They can try their best, but it's really not the same. It will never be able to accurately describe emotions, the feelings that you have. He expresses emphasis on the importance of using your body, the importance of existing in the real world and not existing inside of your head. When you are able to escape your mind and really delve into your body, the physical realm that we occupy, that is where you will find yourself and your happiness. A thing that he brings up is that we have three worlds: the world of the words, the world of the body, and the world of the spirit. Your spirit can manifest itself in all three areas. It has its own realm, but it can exist in the words. It can also exist in the body. A big problem that intellectuals have is that their spirit never encounters its body. It never encounters the real, the raw. It exists in your mind, which is essentially the world of words, your consciousness. When your spirit exists in this way in your mind, when you're constantly using words have an end, they're finite. And when you always use words, you escape reality, the physical realm that we all exist in and that we cannot escape. And when you do that, when you exist in the world of words, you are constantly experiencing ends of thoughts, ends of ideas. All words, all writing ends. And when you do this, you are constantly telling the spirit, this thing has ended. When you have so many ends, your spirit begins to lose the idea of the physical end of life. You begin to lose an understanding of it, that you can die, which is a theme that I've hit on this channel quite a few times. The importance of thinking about your death and understanding your space in this physical reality is limited. You will die. And there are ways to die. There are good ways to die, and there are bad ways to die. You can die afraid, or you can die with courage, with strength. And that is one of the things that he thinks about a lot, is his own death. He writes about ritual death. He writes about the kamikazes of the Japanese military. He served in the Japanese military post-World War II. And he talked about how the only words that really have meaning, have reality in them, that aren't just abstract letters, ideas, concepts, is the words that are the ideas that are commonplace that they are the ideas that are extremely common and pervasive throughout society. So like the words like a sense of duty and honor to one's country, the heroics of Achilles and Hercules, like ideas like that of courage, and words describing that courage are really the only words of the flesh, as he called them. When he was reading the suicide notes of the kamikazes, they would write to their family before they set out on their mission. He said that was the only time he really ever experienced words as physical reality. He said those were words of the flesh, because people were writing about their duty to the fatherland. And they were writing for something bigger than themselves, talking about them laying down their lives in service of an ideal. But he said that all other words were corrosive to reality. The intellectual dies afraid because he cannot grasp his physical end, because his spirit has been subjected to so many ends, conclusions of thoughts, of ideas, of writings. And when you cannot begin to fathom your demise, it's scary, because we fear what we do not know. He would think about his death often. And he would think about how scared he was when he was younger, before he committed himself to sun and steel, sunlight, and weightlifting and training by the sword. He was scared of death because he was incapable of a glorious death, as he called it. A death that was in service of something. He lacked the physical body, the muscles, to die a warrior's death, he called it. There are good ways to die, is what he thought. And he was chasing that. He was chasing glory in death. You know what I mean? So here we go. He says, words are a medium that reduces reality to abstraction for transmission to our reason, and in their power to corrode reality inevitably lurks the danger that the words themselves will be corroded too. You see, words are unnatural. When I read the Bible, or my understanding, I went to Catholic school. I had to read most of the Bible for school. Religion class, 4 years. My understanding, the way I think about, what is it? Genesis? The Adam and Eve story, is when humanity existed in the Garden of Eden, we were mere animals. We ran around naked. We had no consciousness. And so when Eve took the bite of the apple, and then she told Adam to eat from the apple as well, that, in my opinion, was the start of human consciousness. And what that tells me is that humanity was never supposed to have consciousness. That is what sets us apart from other animals, in a way. Now, they say God gave Adam and Eve dominion over the garden, but I don't think we had the consciousness. We were dominant, I'm sure. We were in control, but we did not have the consciousness. And what I think I'm trying to say is that consciousness is not your friend. Humanity is not meant to exist in their minds. They're not supposed to exist up here in the world of words. We are designed, we are far better off if we exist solely in our bodies. And do not exist up in our head, if that makes sense. When you move through life, you should be reactionary. You should flow and not think so much. You need to just do, you know? You see, I don't know how much truth is in the Bible. If you ask me, the Bible is simply older generations' way of conveying life lessons that they've learned. I think ancient times, people thousands of years ago understood that humans are narrative-based creatures, and that if you want to get them to do something, if you want them to learn lessons, you need to offer it in story form. You can't just tell them, do this, do that, without really giving a reason. And giving a reason to a rule, and to every rule, is not a very entertaining way of conveying your message. I think that the Bible was written in a story format. That way, older generations could pass down wisdom. So that's what I think it is. I think it's just metaphorical stories. It's just people are like, oh, like let's just make up a story and that will have lessons that we think are important for people to do. And so my understanding or my belief is that the ancient people, the people who originally wrote the Bible, whoever they were, understood that living in your head is not healthy. It's not good for us. No matter who gave us consciousness, whether you believe in the stoned ape theory or if you believe that God made Adam and Eve and, whatever. The point of the story is to tell you that consciousness was given to us by the evil force, the bad man, the snake. It was never the good force in nature, in this realm. The positive energy never wanted us to exist, to have consciousness, exist in our head, to be self-conscious, to doubt, to worry about appearance, to be like, oh my God, I'm naked, I need to cover up. We weren't supposed to do that. We're not supposed to be like that. We are supposed to breathe and exude confidence, because we have dominion over the world that we live in. If we have the capability, I think, to master everything around us. And the only way that is done is if you just act, is if you're not self-conscious, if you live in the flesh, you know? So yeah, that was kind of a side tangent. But anyways, the point of this is to say that you need to live in your body and not in your mind. And I think as social media and technology progresses, more people will live in their heads. This will just continue the rates of mental illness and depression, because people are becoming so far removed from their physical bodies, and we're leaving the physical reality that we occupy, even though the physical reality is all that we have. That's what we are tied to, you know? So yeah, I think the one thing that I took from this is that you need to work on your body, and everything else will take care of itself. Focus on the reality. Focus on what's around you. Exercise. Do manual labor. Do work. Seek out suffering. That's another thing he talks about. He's seeking out suffering. And that's where you find meaning. You don't find meaning in your head. You find meaning by going out and seeking physical suffering, physical pain. That is where you will find yourself. It's in motion. It's in the act of doing it. To embrace suffering is the constant role of physical courage. And physical courage is, as it were, the source of that taste for understanding and appreciating death, that more than anything else is a prime condition for making true awareness of death possible. I lacked the physical courage to seek out suffering for myself, to take pain unto myself. So, all right, here's another one. How many lazy men's truths have been admitted in the name of imagination? How often has the term imagination been used to prettify the unhealthy tendency of the soul to soar off in a boundless quest after truth, leaving the body where it always was? How often have men escaped from the pains of their own bodies with the aid of that sentimental aspect of the imagination that feels the ills of others' flesh as its own? And how often has the imagination unquestioningly exalted spiritual sufferings, whose relative value was in fact excessively difficult to gauge? So it's a difficult read, I will say. You know, there are a lot of words that I had to look up. It's I think it's translated from Japanese into English, which might be a reason why it's difficult to read sometimes. It's not smooth, but I would 100% recommend it. I think if you are dealing with any sort of mental issues and you are neglecting the importance of your physical body and the way that affects your overall well-being, you should read it. Sun and Steel by Yukio Mishima. It's a nice, it's different. It's different from the modern philosophy of preaching about mental health, and really trying to attack things in a mental consciousness-based way. This one is attacking problems through the physical, as I said, emphasizing the importance of our bodies and emphasizing that we are animals, Consciousness is not good for us. It's been a curse. It's been a gift and a curse. If it's used too much, it will make you seriously unhappy. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys later.